What's up? What's up? Welcome to This Week in White Supremacy. My name is Jasiri X. I'm co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media. That's right. Come on. The energy's going, right? Hopefully, if this is your first time, welcome. If you are a repeat viewer, you know how we do. We're going to have jokes, but we're also going to come with commentary, important commentary, and most of that important commentary is not going to come from me. No. Farouk and Trouble. Most of it is going to come from the main attraction.
It's a miracle.
Yes.
Did you introduce yourself? Oh.
It's a miracle.
So she's, yes, twice. That was in Miracle's list of demands.
Yeah. That was her rider. Yeah, she said her rider.
Let's play twice.
Dark chocolate, and you got to play the thing twice.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many people who still owe me dark chocolate, and I feel like our fans are not fanning like they're supposed to. Anyways, my name is Miracle, aka Big Blessing with a Big Blessing. I'm just happy to be here on this auspicious day. It's auspicious Tuesday.
Decision day. Yes, but we'll get into that. Yeah. My brother.
It's your boy Trouble in the Less, never like supremacy, next level shaman, you know the vibes.
Trouble is at the same time the youngest and oldest member. He's the youngest but most mature, which is a fascinating dynamic. And from the most mature to the least mature.
He does what he can with what he got.
Oh. Yeah, the Supreme Asiatic Intelligently Divine. And I just want to, before we go into anything, I have a little bit of smoke for, the producers of this show.
Okay.
For making my nose look bigger than it is on camera.
Oh, shit.
Fuck you very much. Because Jesus Christ, the close-up shots be doing me grease. My brother actually said something. He was like, yo, your nose is big as fuck, nigga. And I was like, I know. And then, I seen the close-up shots. So thank you, E-May, for that. I really appreciate
Wow.
what you do to my self-esteem. Thank you.
Wow. Just take it back a little bit. Jeez,
bro.
Right
like,
in your grill.
Yeah.
It was right in
like,
your...
yeah, man. So you agree? Like, yeah. Like,
no, I don't agree. I respect black features, brother. From the gates.
Oh man, thank you for making me love my bell pepper nose.
Absolutely.
Man.
So we are a little bit later now. Obviously, early when we record early for whatever reason,
we be on one.
It always kind of goes into some place where, obviously we got banned from Facebook. I mean, it went to another place. If you missed the last,
we got banned
conversation. Yeah. We didn't get banned, but it was like,
there was things we couldn't promote.
Yes, we couldn't. Yeah. They couldn't promote it
because we were talking about furniture and clothing apparel.
Furniture and couches and socks. We're not going to get into that today.
Couches and socks.
But we're recording a little bit later today because today is Decision Day. I almost feel like
D-Day?
I almost feel like Kamala should have had like two hats. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like one of those things where you roll and pull the balls out like on the lottery?
No, like the hat, like a Minnesota hat, and then like the athletes do.
Okay, I got you.
Like a Minnesota state hat, and maybe like a Pennsylvania state hat, and then she kind of should sit down and you pick one, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, so everybody can be surprised.
Yes, but she picked the governor of Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Tim Walz, and this was a pick that was a lot of the progressive community wanted. You know what I'm saying? Personally, but again, I have a personal relationship with Governor Josh Shapiro, no flex. You know what I'm saying? But I've talked, I think it's different when you know somebody in a personal way, than all you know is like these different headlines or clips. You know what I'm saying? To me, Governor Shapiro is somebody who I feel like he's a closer. I feel like once he gets in the room, he's just such a personable person.
Yeah.
And he is a very charismatic person that I felt like even though people had legitimate issues, I felt like he was somebody that could overcome those issues. But the progressives push for, and again, this goes back to that organizing, right? People organize around Biden in a way, and people organize to the point where people organize a whole Pass the Torch campaign. It was a website, it was all this, and it worked, right? And a lot of people organized around Tim Walz. I felt like he was somebody who was a better candidate around labor, around all of these different things, and it worked again. And so, just first reaction thoughts. I know, Miracle, you have been on this show.
As she is every week.
A strong, staunch supporter of our Governor Shapiro. And it's interesting that I guess the rally is going to be in Philadelphia. So that also led us to believe that it was probably going to be Governor Shapiro. So where do you stand, Miracle, now as our, civic engagement director on the Harris Walz ticket?
It's kind of funny because I had texted my friend. They do some commentary for various news stations. And I said, if she wants to run and win, she'll pick Shapiro. If she wants to run and win and run for re-election, she'll pick Walz, right? Because we know that Shapiro is going to be a future presidential candidate. I
agree.
And I think that's what we saw over the weekend is how smooth and connected he is as a candidate.
Yes.
And I think for her, if she's looking at, she just replaced Biden.
Yes.
She knows how important this VP slot is.
Yes.
And she knows you as VP could possibly be president in unforeseen circumstances.
True.
Do you want to pick someone that you're going to be fighting with and grasping power? I think that's part of it.
That's a great point.
I think also the organizing showed that at this moment in time, Shapiro was incapable of being kind and showing empathy, right? He had all of this people coming out and saying negative things, and you didn't see him come out and say, this is me, this is who I am, this is how you can trust me. He played it cool. He had all of these messengers talking about him, all of these op-eds dropping from friends and people who were going for him, but you didn't hear from him. Think about it. Like, did you see him on any national media?
But is that, again, like, I don't know, would that be considered like wrong? Because I didn't see any of the potential VPs.
They were there. They've been on podcasts.
Oh, okay. Well, I missed that.
That whole, their weird thing that came from an interview that VP Walz, now VP nominee Walz said. Bashir they've been on Meet the Press. They've been on CNN. People have been on, you had Buttigieg, he was on the top 5. He was on Fox. You've seen all these folks. And then even I tweeted it out when he was asked about the op-ed that dropped. He was like, oh, that's something I did. I was 20. And we were like, just apologize. Just say, there's something I did. I'm 20. And I'm sorry you're hurt by that. I'm sorry this is offensive.
Interesting.
But there was none of that. And I think that one of my friends, she said that Walz is like America's dad. Like you listen to him. He definitely is. You listen to him talk and you feel like everything is going to be okay. And I think in the moment right now, people are talking about vibes, and Shapiro just didn't feel the need to be like, I have these vibes too. And we know Shapiro's shown up at events. We know he's capable of empathy. We know he's capable of being human and having those interactions. He just didn't show it. And when we're talking about domestic violence, murder, hatred, all this type of stuff, come out. Let people, especially people in the national sphere who don't know who you are, let them see who you are so they can make a decision.
That is a great
point. I think that was a mistake on his part.
That is a great point. I didn't see him. Like you said, I seen Buttigieg. I seen the other folks doing the rounds. I saw Walz. Obviously, that's kind of how he came to be known, because he was the first guy to kind of call Republicans weird and kind of say they're weird. And then that's been something that the Democrats have been rolling with and have been having a lot of success. So you mentioned him. For those that don't know or not familiar with, haven't heard from him, we have a bunch of cuts. We have the best hits, the greatest hits. Tim Walz. Play that, Farouk.
Speaking it into existence, Governor Walz for vice president.
These are weird people on the other side. They want to take books away. They want to be in your exam room. I've got a 23-year-old who told me TikTok is on fire. Go ahead and continue to denigrate people. Go ahead. My God, they went after cat people. Good luck with that. Turn on the internet and see what cat people do when you go after them.
Don't fuck with cats.
It'd be funny if it wasn't so sad. They see the least fortunate among us as scapegoats and punchlines for them. Kamala Harris and Democrats see them as our neighbor. Get sugarcoating this. These are weird ideas. Listen to them speak. Listen how they talk about things. Told them that they shouldn't talk about race. They can't help it. It is built into their DNA because there is no plan. There's no healthcare plan. There's no healthcare plan. There's nothing to do on that. They want to take away our alliances and leave Russia to do whatever they want. The minute they all step on the stage, the American people have lost. Are they going to debate who can ban the most books? The same old failed policies.
Wow.
Instead of putting out a memo like that, tell us what your healthcare plan is. Donald Trump told us he would do that on day one back in 2017. There's nothing there.
But you've legalized recreational marijuana, you passed universal background checks on guns, you expanded LGBTQ protections, you implemented tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans. There's free breakfast and lunch for school kids.
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own healthcare decisions. And we're a top 5 business state, and we also rank in the top 3 of happiness to think that anyway this is normal. You got a former president that thinks calling names and spreading lies is the way to get people. They're continuing to shrink the electorate on their side. Their ceiling and their floor are the same, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So I'm just excited. What I know is
wow. I mean,
there was still a whole nother minute of him just dropping bombs. Hold on. Let's drop something for Tim Walz.
Yes. And kind of like you said, he's not like talking loud. It seems like he's just matter of fact. Like this is how he really feels. It doesn't, when he's speaking, it doesn't seem like prepared. He kind of reminds me of Trouble. He kind of reminds me of very much of a Trouble vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like
did he take over for Jesse Ventura?
I can't say that. I don't know.
Because wasn't Jesse Ventura governor of Minnesota?
At one point, but I think that was a while ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a while ago. You had something you wanted to say?
And I also like that he has a human story. Like he battled alcoholism. He battled drinking. He went into the military. He had like a different view. And so he's changed and he's progressed a little bit. You know, he got sober. He's come out against, expanding war. He's come out for engaging people and meeting people where they are. And he's not by far, a great person. He called the cops when people were protesting in George Floyd. He is someone who's more of a moderate, but he's also allowed people to be themselves and to fight and hasn't been an obstacle like in their past as much. And so I do like that about him. I think he's someone who's going to be interesting. I think he's going to be really good on the campaign trail because he's not a butthole.
He also, to me, provides this and I want to come to you, Trouble and Farouk, this very stark difference from J.D. Vance.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because remember, J.D. Vance is supposed to be the person who, remember, Donald Trump has said, because he's from the Midwest. He connects with the workers. He wrote this thing. But J.D. Vance comes across as so, transparent and fake and, unauthentic. And here's this, regular dude. Like you said, anything you look at this guy, he comes across like a regular guy, worker. He's done and he's passed actual policies that have improved the lives of the working person. Like J.D. Vance hasn't done that. J.D. Vance, I think the labor came out and said he's never voted with workers, not one time in the Senate. And so it does offer this really real rich difference of the two. You were gonna say, Trouble?
Yeah. So I don't really know who Tim Walz is. I was today years old when I found out who bro was.
Got you.
And based off of what he said in this highlight reel, I fuck with bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I like the way he speaks. I hope that he's able to talk some sense into Kamala and kind of keep her accountable. I think them
in
two
regards
together,
to what?
To the policies that she's okay with or not okay with.
Got you.
And what she does with her presidential power.
Like pushing her more towards a progressive side.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what this campaign will look like. I'm interested to see what this would look like as a presidency.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. The first time Tim Walz came into my vantage point was around the protests in Kenosha. With his involvement with law enforcement.
Well, Kenosha is
Wisconsin. I'm talking about
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
With
Yeah,
George
I'm sorry.
Floyd.
Yeah. I'm sorry. All those cities always I get confused. But yeah, I mean, you can't put 100% stock in any politician. They're always going to find you in an area where you don't agree with them, and
Absolutely.
I think that's the nature of politics.
Yes,
it's not what you can. It's not how much you can get everybody on your side, but it's how much you can compromise. And I think that this is a strong candidacy. Now, like you said, this is a good contrast to J.D. Vance.
Absolutely.
Right? Two Midwestern men who are on the VP candidacy that are completely diametrically opposed,
right?
That have different stories. And I think what's also important with Tim Walz as a VP is this provides a platform for a transformative White House should the Democrats win.
Right.
I don't think that there were going to be someone who is as many warmongers in the White House.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to rush to conflict as the past two previous administrations have.
Right.
Biden and Trump. So I think this is a place for Democrats to find themselves not only just voting but electorally in a progressive state, not necessarily in a moderate state. So this kind of slides that scale a little bit more to there's relatability politics, right? We're getting like a human aspect at the voting polls where it's not just two automatons coming up and asking for your vote,
right? And I think the last thing, and I do want to come to you, is like Minnesota, like he said. I mean,
cold like Minnesota,
they passed all these progressive changes, and it's actually improved things, right?
Right, yeah,
it didn't destroy them like some folks said. So it's really like, it's almost like saying like, this is like what they did in Minnesota is what we want to do to America, right? These policies that will actually make you happier and more secure and all this. Is this going to like, do you see this as being like a bump miracle for Kamala Harris? Is this going to like move the needle? Is this going to like embolden like more progressives to get involved? They just had the Progressive for Harris call yesterday. So they said it was around 100,000 people on that call. You know, our own Summer Lee was one of the principal speakers. Does that now like put a charge to some of those folks that were already charged up because of the decisions that the Biden administration was making that people were not in agreement with?
I think it does, in the simple fact that like we're winning, like in the sense that we got Biden to drop out.
Yes.
We've gotten a lot of these bad policies pushed back. We're still waiting on some of the ultimate policies, which is a ceasefire and an arms embargo, which should be happening, right? And so I think it's letting people see that like these politicians work for us.
Yes.
And they should have our best interests at heart. And people are movable, not like we own them, but the people should be listening to us and fighting for their policies and announcing a platform and speaking to folks. And if we're going to build a big tent, the big tent should include all of us, even when we don't agree,
right? And
even when we don't get along, and even when we have different things that we're caring about and prioritizing,
right? Because
that progressive for Harris call, for instance, had people who didn't endorse her yet.
Right.
And had people who were still questioning about what does a progressive policy look like, and should we even be involved in electoral politics? And that is the best way to engage in democracy, is to have people be involved who aren't really sure, and to make sure they know there's a home for them, not somewhere they're going to be pushed out or excluded.
You have a voice here.
You know, and I think that was a good thing. And for even more importantly, like how Farouk was saying, I think we're getting to a point where we're moving as a society away from death and violence, and saying we don't always have to fight every day.
Right.
And having someone who is a white man, I think is important. A white man saying that we don't have to have this is, I think, necessary.
Right.
Because you have a lot of women who talk about moving away from militarism, and people just see us as weak and like you don't know anything. But having a man who is a veteran, someone who formerly served, who went in as a young person, can talk about why we don't need to continue these same paths. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But I think people are winning. I think people want to live, and I think when people want something to fight for, and someone tweeted out earlier, the vibes are immaculate. Like just like comparing now
from the window to the wall.
From the window to the wall.
That's crazy.
Like think about where we were like 2.5 weeks ago. Like literally think about like where we were
2.5 weeks ago. And it's funny because I clipped it up, but I didn't get a chance to put it out in time. Was the do we want to be stabbed or shot? That was your like your breakdown of where we were politically.
Being stabbed hurts.
Like on one hand, it's like a slow death, and on the other hand, it's a quick death when it was like Biden or Trump. Now, like you said, it's like you know, obviously
you won't be shot or punched, right?
Yeah.
So it goes down.
Somebody commented somebody commented like Miracle's happy. Like, oh my God, we don't even know what to do. So it has been a really big turn.
I think it has a big turn. Like, first of all, big up Nancy Pelosi, because Nancy.
Wow, I can't believe that was something that was ever said on the show.
Nancy has been like, we are moving, and she even came out and was like, criticizing Shapiro isn't anti-Semitic, and we were talking about like we have serious policy concerns,
right?
And y'all are shutting down this conversation.
Did she say that in or outside of the Kente clause?
She said it on CNN where it mattered, right? But she was out here. She told Biden he had to drop out. She said she went for Walz as VP. She's looking at. I think she is someone who also likes to win, and I think if you look at what's going on in the UK and Bangladesh and Venezuela. I've been talking about that. I think she sees the pulse and she sees the change coming and says, you know what? Instead of having this mass uprising that other countries are doing, how about we just get ahead of this and be like, let's change.
It makes sense.
Nancy saw how y'all felt about her ice cream. She saw a little guillotine and said, y'all will not.
Yes.
Y'all not about to chop my head off. And she is rebranding. And I think between her and Chuck Schumer, you're going to see a different tone, because I think they want to win. Yeah. And because maybe the end of their career is coming up closer, I think they're worried about like their legacy and what they contributed to, and so they're trying to offset that negative impact right now. And I think that's why you're going to see some substantive policy changes coming down.
You had something, Fruit?
Yeah, it's just kind of echoing what Miracle has been saying for a couple months on here, is that I think politicians now are recognizing that nationalism, whether it's coming from the left or the right, is becoming this relic, right? This hyper-American aspect of politics is something that is archaic now, because as Miracle always says, we live in a global society and we're very connected. And there's so many instances now highlighted by Miracle just now as Venezuela, Bangladesh, and the UK that are these global issues that have roots directly connected to the states, and how people are perpetuating them and relating to them and recognizing what isn't being purported and reported on media is indicative of the political shift and the dynamic here in the states. And with Nancy Pelosi and with a lot of these other politicians recognizing the light of their end of the tunnel is coming up rapidly, they see that, okay, now there's pressure and now there's an impetus to influence change and call for something different. Because again, you know, the foundation is crumbling in a lot of these so-called first world nations, and we're everybody's kind of like looking for homostasis as it is. Right. You know what I mean? They're looking for something that's a different way that everybody can enjoy life without worrying about a bomb coming through your living room and just like tearing asunder everything. You know what I mean? They're seeing the border in America. They're seeing, what the war in Palestine and Gaza has done to people. They're seeing, what inflation in Venezuela is doing and all these other countries. And people are like, oh, that's just not far from the States, isn't it?
Right. And I think you see, like, kind of like what Miracle said, you see this movement is already... People are already, I mean, we saw college campuses go on fire. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so when you see that, and you see that level of mobilizing and organizing, and you want to win, like Miracle said, you want to win, obviously you want to tap into that.
Right.
So it's like, wow, what if we had that level of organizing of folks kind of getting behind these candidates? We can win this election. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Pennsylvania and specifically Pittsburgh is proof positive of that.
Absolutely. And so when we saw like the outpouring of support for Kamala Harris, and you saw the, she did the rally and it's Quavo's there and Meg is there. Supposedly they said Beyonce is going to do a fundraiser for her shortly. You know what I'm saying? You're seeing this like momentum shift. You see like this shift in excitement around it. And then now here's a VP candidate who also is somebody that a lot of people are backing and excited about. And on the other side, you see Trump pretty much
shitting the bed.
I mean, I would say not doing too. I would say like it might be time for the Republicans to look for another candidate.
I mean, wasn't there a poll that said like X amount of percent want a younger candidate?
Absolutely, yes. And but because Trump went to And obviously, to me, this was a direct result of Kamala Harris becoming the presidential nominee. She has the delegates now. They say it's official. She is the Democratic nominee. Trump went to the National Association of Black Journalists.
Oh, this was a shit show.
And he was going to be interviewed, or he was interviewed by 3 black women. And the first question, and shout out, who is the sister that asked him the first question?
She said, "I'm a real journalist."
What's her name? I forgot. Can we let's find.
Give me 2 seconds.
Please pull her name up, because she came, and again, she came with receipts, right?
Yeah.
She basically said, "This is." She wasn't for the pleasantries.
Yeah, you said this, and this on this day.
She wasn't on some, "Hi, how you doing? I'm so happy to meet you." Nah, we gonna get right to business. And when she did, obviously Trump took issue with that, because how dare this black woman think she could speak to me like she's on the same level? That's only reserved for Putin and Kim Jong-un, right? That's definitely not no black woman journalist. And Trump's answer to her question about Kamala opened up another
can of worms,
Pandora's box.
Okay.
I believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman.
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman.
I respect either one. I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire?
I really don't know. I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty.
So that's Rachel Scott, senior congressional correspondent for ABC. Shout out to Rachel. You know what I'm saying? Rachel did her thing. She wasn't, there.
She wasn't fucking around.
No, she wasn't trying to get no autograph for Trump. She came for business. But what do we, Miracle?
Was she standing on?
I said she was black last episode. I can't do no more.
I was going to say Miracle.
Y'all try to set me
as someone who's questioned black.
Because your friend wasn't black, and I had to sit there and be like, okay. But anyways.
Who?
Anyways.
I don't know what friends you're talking about.
Are we talking about?
Stop.
Stop.
Anyway.
I agree with you.
Anyways. Anyway. Now, what I would say is I think it's ridiculous, because to sit there and say someone, I can understand if it was like, you always want to talk about people, but then you're going to meet them in the future.
Okay.
It's just
if it was somebody that was like
Logic.
Oh shit.
Like, I can't understand. If you were like, oh, I didn't know.
I might not have known.
He was.
For those that don't know, Logic is a rapper who presents as white, but is biracial.
Was the guy from the Miami who was like, I'm a human being. I'm not
the coach,
the coach, right?
Dolphins, yeah.
I can understand if you were
or like the guy who plays for the Knicks. What's the center? Well, he used to play for the center for the Knicks, because he looks like, when you look at him, he presents as a white guy.
Yeah.
He's black too.
No, but I was going to say people who haven't always said I'm black.
Yes,
has always been the culture, hasn't always had like a positive connection or affiliation. That could be oh, I didn't know that this person was, but she was someone who always was in the culture, who always was with her family.
Yes.
Right? Who was talking about being multicultural.
Yes.
And yes, you do say I'm black, or I was, Indian. You say that all the time because it's mixed. And if you go to like Jamaica, there are so many multicultural families. Like there's a lot of Chinese and black families.
Yeah.
There is
especially
lot of
in Trinidad.
and black. Like it is like the Caribbean.
Yes.
Is so, and people be like, oh, I am black, but it's not the same way we see race.
Right.
And I think that was what made this conversation weird, because you have him saying, oh, she's not black, or she was Indian up until, but then you have her talking, at the state of black, America,
right?
At the state of black California, you had her always identifying with who she is. You think about the people who she has been associated with romantically in the past.
Right.
Where's her like black partners that got thrown in our faces a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
So this idea that you want to pick and choose when she said she was black makes no sense.
Right.
Regardless of who she is going to be the face of this empire and the face of someone who's either going to help people or hurt people. And that is what we should be focusing on.
Right.
That is like the conversation. And I do think that like how he engaged those 3 black women, because if it was like Roland Martin
Right.
answering those questions,
Yeah.
or bringing the funk, as he says,
Yeah.
I don't think
He would have
that
had the
he
static.
would have had that much static for him as he had these black women.
Absolutely.
But he also, not only did he, and of course, obviously, he loves the Fox News woman.
Yeah,
And they kind of had their little love affair.
There was a Harris Faulkner.
Yeah, but he also was very disparaging about the conference. He was like, the audio's bad. Y'all messed everything up.
When in reality, it was like him. The reason it was delayed because he refused to be fact checked.
Right. He didn't want to be fact checked in real time because, I mean, he knows
A
he's going to.
journalist conference.
Yeah, he knows he's going to go out there and lie. So, like, why would he want to be fact checked?
It's wild to me that, like, not only Trump, but this whole Republican talking point is they feel they get to decide who's black and who's not.
Right.
Like, they hold the metric for blackness.
Yeah.
Which is a conversation in and of itself. And this isn't anything different than fucking slavery or Jim Crow.
Right.
Right. Like, this is just like something they're bringing back. Like, when they say make America great again, this is exactly what they're talking about.
Right.
They're talking about defining blackness, or one drop rule, whatever they want to use as their metric for who's black and who's not. And it's so fascinating to me that they're so invested in blackness, but want to be, so authoritarian. You wanted to say something?
What was the movie that just came out about the people killing the indigenous women for the land?
Oh, Killers at a Flower Moon.
I think in the American context, race is something that is very controversial because on one aspect you have the one drop rule, but then you have situations where people marry in order to have power, right?
Yes.
So if you know that indigenous people own land or black people own land, you're marrying them not because of equity, but you're marrying to take something from them.
Right.
And so as a means of protection, I know like a lot of indigenous folks basically said like that one drop rule, we don't care about that. You have to be born and raised on this land with these type of parents, with this type of culture, or we don't recognize you, right? So there are a lot of people who get kicked out and pushed out of community as a means of protection from white supremacy. And I think that like we have to wrestle with what the impact of imperialism is in the modern area when we're talking about race and cultural organizing, because like how you come into culture matters, right? Like, are you born into this culture? Are you someone who is like, I hate black people, and your parents were someone who hated black folks, right? And I think it's hard for us to like, Sage Steele, right? She is she's a biracial person.
Yes.
But she is someone who's pushed back against this identity of blackness.
She
right?
has, yes.
Even though she is a black woman.
She's half white, not half black.
Same with Amber Rose.
Yeah. Right.
Amber Rose is somebody who also is. You had her speak at the, Republican.
But she said
National
she's not a
Convention.
black woman.
That's what I'm saying. She said she's not a black woman. Right. You know what I'm saying? So even though she showed up and benefited tremendously from black culture and really got her juice and recognition from the black cultural space, she also said, I'm not black. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying a similar thing.
I think we have to wrestle with that because we're so often giving people invites to the cookout.
Yeah.
And we're so happy that sometimes people just know a song or know a lyric.
Right.
But then we don't ask them to do more. And then we get exploited and left behind and forgotten. Yeah. And we sometimes wonder why. And I think that we really have to figure out how we want to show up in the world. Because again, our skin tones range. My cousins are lighter than the both of you.
Oh wow!
And so, like,
I'm sure
I love them. They're
smoke.
beautiful.
I can imagine what Thanksgiving's like. Look at these turkey-colored niggas.
No, my cousins are very
mashed potato looking ass nigga.
Community-based, loving, wonderful people, and we don't have these conversations like that. But I'm saying it's just like we run the gamut, and so it's not always a color thing about skin tone.
It's not.
It's also a connection to your community and what you're giving to the world.
1,000%.
But it's also difficult. Like it is a difficult conversation to have, because sometimes I think that there are some people who don't want to be black, right? There are some black people who just do not want to be black.
But there was also this piece, and Tim Walz kind of talks about it. On one hand, you say like, You accuse Democrats of using the quote unquote race card, but it's Republicans seemingly that always bring up race or talk about race or use race in a negative way. So I just want to read a couple of these tweets. You know, Ibram Kendi said Republicans went from claiming they are colorblind to now claiming they can determine who is really black.
Yeah, come on.
Which is really fascinating, right? Now all of a sudden you know blackness, and then somebody else put if Kamala,
I know blackness is the niggas I lock up.
Yeah. Somebody also put, if Kamala was trying to deny her Indian heritage, she would have changed her name to Nikki. And that goes into Nimarata, who changed her name to Nikki, right? I forget what the guy he was governor of Louisiana, Bobby Jendenhall. I forget what his Indian name was. He changed his name. Rafael Cruz, right? Is now Ted Cruz, right? And so it's like, you're saying she's trying to deny her blackness, but she didn't change. She's not telling people to call her Karen Harris. She's telling people to call her Kamala Harris. That's her name. She didn't change her name in the way that you all changed your names. Treble?
So now after seeing how Trump interacted with Rachel, and then coupling that with him not acknowledging that Kamala has been black this entire time, a part of me feels as though he didn't want to acknowledge her blackness.
Yeah.
Because then he would have had to give her a certain respect that he's not really trying to give to black women.
True.
Period.
There we go. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like when he saw her as the vice president, he wanted to only see her as Indian, because I feel like a lot of racist white people have more respect for, like, you know, Indian or Asian, or not, I won't say Hispanic, but like Indian and Asian identities.
Right. They're considered, those are considered what they call like
model minorities.
Yeah, model minorities. Right.
Facts.
Correct.
So it's like, I feel like there was a point where her blackness was publicized, and he kind of had to grapple with the fact that, like, I have to respect this black woman now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I have to talk to her as though she's equal to me. I don't really like that.
Right. I'll come to you, Farouk, but I found the tweet. This is Alex Cole. Nimarata.
I was looking for that tweet because they took it down.
I forget. I can't even pronounce the last name. No disrespect. ran as Nikki Haley. Piyush Jendenhall ran as Bobby Jendenhall. Rafael Cruz ran as Ted Cruz. James Donald Bowman ran as J.D. Vance. Barack Obama ran as Barack Obama. Kamala Harris is running as Kamala Harris. So again, like, he
not only
as Barry, he ran as Barack.
And he went in the White House as Barack Hussein Obama.
Yes. And so again, I think there's that piece around, like, it's funny. Like, do you want to talk about race or not? And here's Trump. And again, here's Trump's attempt. You know, the thinking is, why do you go to the National Association of Black Journalists? Because you're saying, like, oh, I'm not racist. I'm not a white supremacist, right? I'm going to go here and show I can interact and engage with black people. And then you go there and you're so combative to a question that was a real question. You say, like, I've done more for black people than any other president, Abraham Lincoln, which is absolutely false. It's not even close, you know, but you think by saying it, somehow it comes true. Now he's on Truth Social calling Kamala.
Kamabla.
How do you pronounce that, though?
I guess it's Kamabla, yeah.
Kamabla. And again, so it looks as if he is really just falling, you know, it looks as if he's like spiraling out of control. And now he's saying that he doesn't want to debate because he came out and said, oh, I agreed to a debate on Fox News. Not the agreed debate. So the agreed upon debate was, I think, September 10th. I think it's going to be on ABC. He came out and said, oh, I'll debate if it's on Fox News, if it's on this day, if it's in front of an arena-sized audience, and if it's with these specific moderators.
Right.
And if it's not that, then he won't debate. And then, of course, Kamala Harris said, look, we already got a debate locked in. Either you be there or not. I'm going to be there. I'm coming with whatever I'm coming with. If you're not going to show up, then it's just going to be me. So what do you think about Trump now?
I think she should show up to that Fox News debate.
Oh, you think she should go there and just mop him up?
I remember, I always tell people all the time when there was the fight for, I always call it Obamacare, but the Affordable Care Act. And President Obama went to the House floor and debated with Republicans live on the House floor. That was I think the one time where people were like so invested in politics and like, oh, you know what you're talking about and you know what you're fighting for. I think Kamala going to a hostile crowd with hostile moderators and mopping him basically shows that she knows what she's fighting for. She can defend her record. She can stand on her decisions. And that's what you have to do. When you are running for office, you're not running to make friends. You're not running to only talk to the people who get along with you. You're running to talk and share your ideas with all eligible voters. And unfortunately, Fox News does have, you know, a bulk of eligible
people that watches them.
voters. So she needs to, I think it'd be interesting. I think, you know, no, you don't want to give him the upper hand and be like, he's doing a power move. But I think it could be really good for her.
But again, but the thing is, okay, then my thing is like, then if she says, all right, I'll go on Fox News, you come on BET, we gonna have
BET is crazy.
We gonna have Mark Lamont Hill and somebody else be the moderators. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna bring Rachel back to be a moderator. We gonna do it in
have Roland Martin.
We're going to do it in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have, Meg and Beyonce there as well. And we're going to do it in front of this live crowd. Trump's not going to say okay to that. Trump's not going to do that. And see, that's the thing. It's like, if it's going to be equal. And I think part of it is, again, I agree with what you're saying. I think
beat him at his own game.
But I think anytime, anywhere, like Kamala is going to win the debate.
Listen, on site is on site.
Right. But so I do think that Kamala can go into a debate like this and still win. But this is about power. You know what I'm saying? No, we're not. Like what Trump has been able to do is move this thing so far to the right, or like so then he can just say whatever. Like, and it's a strategy, it's a tactic, right? So he says so much crazy stuff on a weekly basis, we can't even get to all of it. Like, and so like where another candidate, you would automatically be like, this person is out of there. They're obviously not intelligent enough to do this. They're obviously somebody that needs like mental health care immediately. But because Donald Trump has said so much crazy stuff, he's moved it to where we accept it. Oh, this is Donald Trump being Donald. Oh, that's just him. And so like, no, we're not going to let you dictate this.
He's not a regular candidate, and it's difficult.
Hold on, time out. I'm the vice president. Current
That's
sitting vice president of the United States. We're not going to let you dictate the agenda. We're not going to let you say, oh, it's going to be here. You trying to get, to the position. You're trying to get into the space I'm in or my boss is in right now, right? So no, we're not going to do that. And if you don't want to show up in something that's evenly moderated, whatever, then it ain't going to be a debate. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, that's what this is about. We're not going to just let you, Donald Trump, keep being crazy. And we all going to pretend like we're not looking at what we're looking at. We're looking at somebody who is a 78-year-old white supremacist racist in serious mental decline. We got to keep it real. That's what we're looking at. And because he's somebody that can make us laugh or do something funny or go do the little stream and they walked him out to many men and you can do that. Oh, he's a celebrity does not mean what? So he should run the country? No, I'm sorry.
He doesn't have good policy.
No.
And I think it was very interesting how when we're showing people his long-term interviews, it's actually getting people turned off. Like the way he talked to those 3 black women that people, like, I don't like that. Even somebody sent me the Young Thug clip. Like they were like, oh, I thought he was going to be like free thug. I wanted him to say free thug, like he talked about like free me. I wanted him to, he couldn't say it. They're starting to realize he's incapable of advocating for black people. And when you're bringing up these stories, like even when he was talking about, oh, Sonya Massey, the one with the water. Like, okay, well,
where he didn't even really know.
And so people are starting to be like, I don't know if I feel comfortable with him.
How about this? This is Trump at a town hall in 2023. Right? We're going to be asking everyone who sells drugs, get caught selling drugs, to receive the death penalty for their heinous acts because it's the only way. So I want to say again, I saved this just in case one of these black dudes come to me. One of these hotel black dudes talking about Donald Trump. Okay, so you want the death penalty for somebody that sells drugs? I mean, but he's just saying whatever. And again, you wouldn't look if anybody said that. Not Donald Trump. You would say that's not a serious candidate. Absolutely. That's not somebody that's serious. That's not somebody who we should be turning control over the entire government over to. But because it's Donald Trump, you just say, oh, that's one of the 10,000 crazy things that he said, and we're going to just let it slide because it's Donald Trump.
That would make the entire opioid crisis look completely different.
Of course, obviously.
You know what I mean?
You had a clip of somebody who was calling Donald Trump out. I guess the question is he going to debate or not?
Yeah. This is a conservative lawyer. What is her name?
I don't know. It's a guy. I forget his name.
Okay.
You're going to debate her?
Well, I want to. We're leading in the polls, it seems, by quite a bit still. She's better than he is, but I think ultimately she'll be worse than him. She's more radical than him. He was a phony.
I got one word for that. Wuss. He is a wuss. He is scared of her. She will run circles around him, and he knows that. He knows that. And all she's got to do, and she's got the perfect happy warrior demeanor to do this, is make fun of him to his face. She's talking about, say it to my face. Well, she will say it to his face. And then when he says something insane, she will just roll her eyes and laugh and cackle, and it will make him look incredibly weak. She will.
Right there. That's kind of what you were saying, right, Miracle? You were saying that like people are. It's like almost like the Trump allure and aura is kind of coming off. You know what I'm saying? And people are kind of beginning to see like maybe this isn't, and a lot of Republicans, right? Because supposedly like Republicans for Harris were organizing, right? And just seeing like maybe this isn't the guy.
It was him getting shot. It was the convictions and it was him getting shot. Because what would we called him? Teflon D. Nothing sticks to him. He's immovable. He has all this power. He can do anything. He can grab them because he has this power. Now we're starting to see he don't got the power. He's struggling like you are struggling. He's not the man who can do all of these things, and he can't raise all this money. Kamala's raised 3 much as he has. Yeah. More impressions. More signs. Y'all remember during 2020, it was like, who voted for Biden? I didn't see any Biden signs. True. Now you got the signs. Now you got the T-shirts. Yeah. Now you have all the fanfare that's been missing. So now it's like, oh, I may not be on the winning team. But again, it doesn't matter because like the vibes or whatever, people have to vote in November. Yeah. So we have to see people come out and vote. I do think that like the Harris ground game, they're starting door knocks. Yeah. And they're telling people they have to knock a certain amount of doors. They're not playing around, and I think people are taking this seriously, and that's what you have to do. But I don't. If the October surprise is that Trump drops out, I'm gonna be shocked.
But who would fill the position? Because it can't be JD Vance.
It'll probably maybe Nikki Haley or somebody, whoever, I don't know, whoever they vote for. But I think that like he's starting to feel like he's going to lose, and him losing twice is probably not going to be the best thing.
And then not only that, but losing to a black woman, like losing to like somebody who he's like consistently like just a woman in general, you know what I'm saying, who he's disrespected his whole career, but losing to a black woman will be wild. But, you know, Trump isn't by himself, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we've seen is a lot of these tech billionaires still pushing Donald Trump. And one of the principal ones that's been upfront about it is Elon Musk, right? First, Elon Musk said that he was going to donate some crazy amount, like $50 million a month to some Trump PAC, then he backed it off. But supposedly he has a PAC. And what he's doing is trying to collect voter data or trick voters into thinking they're being registered, like they're registering to vote. Yeah. When the reality is they're not registering to vote. And what they're saying is Elon Musk is then, when they get your information, then they start sending you a bunch of ads that are negative towards Harris, that are pro Donald Trump, whether they be video ads, whether they be like to your house, to try to convince you to vote Republican.
And this is only happening in battleground states, swing states. So when you go to this website, on X or whatever it is the link populates from, and you enter in your information where you think you're going to do voter registration or some type of website like that. If you are not in a battleground state, it just goes through the regular processes. Like, okay, this is my voter registration. I'm signing up for this information. However, if you are in a swing or a battleground state, it takes you to an entirely different font, entirely different prompt, and then at the end of after you submit your data, it says thank you. And then that's when the data collection comes about of them sending you all of this pejorative things about Harris and now Walz that you will be receiving. So it's very interesting, and this is like manipulative on the highest degree.
Super. And it also goes into like how big money can influence negatively elections, but it also says that Elon's PAC is being investigated by the Michigan Secretary of State for potential violations. I believe all these Secretary of States in these battleground states should be investigating this. According to the spokesman for the Michigan Secretary of State's office, they said every citizen should know exactly how their personal information is being used by PACs, especially if an entity claiming it will help people register to vote in Michigan or any other state. And again, like, this is my thing. You know, Elon Musk or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, why not just be upfront? This is my issue with PACs in general. This is my issue with PAC. This is my issue with a lot of these PACs, is that you don't come out and just say what you want from the gate. Again, you want Trump to win, you want Republicans to win, and you just put your money in the ads or whatever that's promoting what Republicans are doing. I don't have no issue with it, right? You have an issue. If your issue is Israel and the security of Israel, and that's what you're lobbying around, I don't have no issue with that. But when you try to pretend or, you know, you try to make it seem like that's not your issue or cloak your money into something that looks like you're trying to help register to people when actually you're doing something else and you're being manipulative and you're being sneaky and you're being like, to me, that shows like, oh, you're not winning. Or you don't have a candidate that you really believe in or a platform you really believed in. Because if you did, you would just come out and say, this is my candidate, this is my platform. But when you try to put things in a certain way and be sneaky around and push candidates and put misinformation on other candidates, you know, we're going to see, I guess, what happens with Cori Bush, who a lot of misinformation has been spread about her, who's our sister in St. Louis. Instead of just saying, I believe this candidate is better, or I like this candidate's stance on these issues that benefit me. Because ultimately, that's why you're spending the money. Right. But instead of saying that, you try to manufacture fake or false or deceptive information about candidates or create deception like this that shows the type of individuals you are. And this should be absolute. It should not be legal. It shouldn't be legal to try to trick people like this. Y'all have anything to say? I feel like I'm going off.
You ever say, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to let you cook.
I like it.
Yeah, definitely,
Be like, I don't know what it means, but I like it. But I think it's true. And I think we have to talk about money in politics, especially the way billionaires are impacting. But I think also it's that we are so busy trying to survive. We are working 2 and 3 jobs, doing all of these gigs. We don't always have the time to parse out where this information's coming from. And that's why these ads are like they don't have to tell you who they are or what they're fighting for, because they know we don't have enough time to go and do our research and like, oh, so-and-so for America, that may sound nice. So-and-so for Black men, that may sound nice. Right. And that's what we go by. And then when you go and research, or if you, like for me, I was very fortunate enough because I was sitting with my mom and we were watching these ads, and I recognized some of the people in the B-roll. And I was like, Mom, this is this person, that is that person. And my mom was like, oh, I would have never known. Right. But if I had not been like chronically online to know who these people were, that was like propaganda that would have worked. And because there's not always a me and everybody is home, a lot of this propaganda is working. And I think that people are literally just looking for something better. And they're really wanting something better, but we're not going to get campaign finance reform when we've had so many politicians be bought and sold by these people who are literally think about it. You can go into Congress making $50,000 a year, be broke, and then go on a couple book tours
Yeah.
You know, just get 1 or 2 billionaires, and next thing you're like Justice Thomas being flued out on private jets, getting RVs and like marble floors. Like, it's just, we've allowed our politics to be bastardized. And I was at a thing, and when we said that, like, people are comfortable with what's happening in the world, because our society is built off of profiting on other people's suffering. And until we move away, you know, and create a new system, we're going to still be in this rut. And so that's like what my hope is. Like, we could be like, you know what, let's find another way to navigate and move. And hopefully with Walz and Harris, we can do that.
Well, you advocated, Miracle, for Kamala to go on to Fox News. Fox News is also seemingly spiraling out of control because of the momentum that Kamala Harris has. And one of these Fox News commentators actually talked about men voting for a woman. Did you want to play that clip, sir?
Would vote Democrat. It's not the party of virtue, security. It's not the party of strength. It's definitely not the party of family. And to be a man and then vote for a woman just because she's a woman is either childish, that person has mommy issues, or they're just trying to be accepted by other women. And I heard the scientists say the other day that when a man votes for a woman, he actually transitions into a woman.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what the science
science says that.
Again,
see why any man.
So now,
what science is saying that?
Okay, no science is saying that, but the idea is like, you know what it is, Trouble? Like, you're not masculine. Like, here's this idea. It's like a masculinity thing. Oh, you vote for a woman? Oh, you're not masculine. If you vote for a woman, that's what he's basically trying to say. That's like, you know, something that is feminine to vote for a woman.
The performance of masculinity is wild these days.
And really, I mean, if you really look at it, that's why that's 99% of the reason we have all these wars in the first place. It's literally like the performance of masculinity in many ways. You know what I'm saying? Miracle?
Did he say they're voting for women because they want to be around women?
Yes.
Why do you not want to be around women?
Why is that bad thing?
Like, Brooks and I vote every day. Like,
come on.
What are you talking about?
You sound like a nigga that has never been around.
I'm about to say, that's wild scaring hoes energy, man. It's like, it's like, my nigga, like, yo, just say what you want to say. I prefer dick, and that's cool. It's 2024. Live your truth, my nigga. You know what I mean? You sound dumb as fuck saying like, oh, if you vote for a woman, it makes you a woman. Like, what? Like, we're talking about Fox News, right? We're talking about the fair and balanced, right? We're talking about unpredicated, like unbiased journalism, right? So chat about something like that. Like, okay, maybe your candidate has shit for brains, dick for policies, and nothing substantial to stand on.
Or like you say, oh, you're the party of family, but you have your candidate has had mad divorces.
Right, mad divorce. Saying he was sexually attracted to his daughter.
Yes.
Bro, like, what are we talking about here?
Not once. Multiple occasions.
What are we talking about here, man?
Your candidate has mad sexual assault allegations.
What are we chatting about here?
So when you talk about that, like the party of family and all this, it's like, why? Just because you're quote unquote pro-life, but like when that child is born, you don't want to get that child lunch. You don't want to get that child.
You don't want to protect that child from being shot up in school.
Right. You don't want to even fund schools at a proper rate.
You just want the Hunger Games.
You don't want to pay teachers. How is that the policy of family in the first place?
You don't want to protect your child from opium and all them other things.
Right? Wow, scaring the hoes.
They do, man. Like, yo, it's like, yo, you with that whack ass comb over and your spray tan and everything, your toupee, whatever it is, bro. It's like, yo, come on, man. Ain't no women really checking for you anyway.
Absolutely. And that's why he's mad.
He down bad, bro. Come on, like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, he down bad. Like, oh shit, we messing up. You know what I mean?
It's that incel energy.
Gang behavior. Yeah. Oh my god.
It's that incel energy. It's that like, oh, you know, like, and again, like, yes, we want to see this glass ceiling broken. We want to see and maybe if, you know,
his search history probably crazy.
Facts.
Crazy. He probably got every VPN ever. You know what I mean? Dark web searches.
Man.
Well, let's move on to our,
what's his name?
What is his name? I don't even know. Jesse something.
Waste man.
Yeah. We have a black male.
Oh God.
Right. We have a black male.
Wait. You want me to do the?
Yeah. Could you grab that while I read it?
Yeah.
This is from Justine Mueller.
Hi, Justine.
I listened to the podcast and was very disappointed.
Okay.
I'm so happy to disappoint you, Justine. Thank you so much, baby.
The words twisted about the current administration making lives better is a flat out lie. We have had, whose lives? But anyway, we have had the second highest inflation rate in our history. They screwed up Afghanistan, which I would think people of color will understand how fucked up that was. What? Again, why would we? Anyway, think about how many years it's been since the slaves were free. Hold on, this is where it gets good. Think about how many years it's been since the slaves were freed thanks to the Republican Party. I hate when they bring that up. As if like we don't have the sense to differentiate between the Republican Party of Abraham Lincoln to the Republican Party now. Yeah. Like we have to somehow think it's the same thing. Like, come on, we're not dumb, Justine. Like, come on, we read. They're raising inflation by giving our money to other countries. They completely ignored the border. Just ridiculous that you would vote for a woman who would codify Roe v. Wade. That would allow several states the right to abort babies up to 3 days after birth. Again, if a child is born, yes, they think this. They believe this.
That's not an abortion.
That's murder. Killing a live baby is murder. That's not abortion. That's not allowed. That's not factual. No one has ever suggested that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like literally, no one's ever suggested that. You saying something? Yep.
And when there are late-term abortions, it's usually for a medical reason. And if a baby is dying 3 days after being born or being delivered, is probably because they had a medical emergency.
Correct.
And you couldn't perform surgery or something of that nature. No, you're not allowed to just unalive a baby once it's delivered.
Not nowhere. Like nowhere, and nobody's trying to do that. She said, what kind of sick person would allow that? Millions have been lost in this bullshit war, and we should not be involved in. They're not accountable for the money has spent. Trump had Ford ready to bring manufacturing back to the North. I doubt that. He helped African Americans over and over again. He allowed them to work in his clubs in Florida.
Oh, he allowed. How gracious of him.
He allowed us to mop the floors, clean up the toilets.
Hey, boss, I sure do a lot of this Trump mention, boss. Thank you for the job, boss.
There's no way you would want Kamala in office when we have seen her lie on TV, and I guess Trump's telling the truth. She's not the right black representative for America. I thought this would show me how racism has impacted blacks across America. All of you who voted in the most racist president in America, who only picked Kamala to make people think that you all hate, to make people think that all the hate and racism disappeared. So again, this is also really weird when you say how racist, like you can see Biden's racism, but you can't see Trump's.
Yeah, I mean,
see, I can't believe you then. If you, that has Biden said racist things, done racist things, and supported racist policies, hell yeah. We talked about him on the show. You know what I'm saying? Like
for many months.
Many months, of course. But like to act like Trump is somehow the best president and is done, because he allowed us to work? Was that after he wouldn't allow us to rent his apartments?
I also want to point out the fact that like she said that she thought the show would show her how racism impacts Black Americans, but it's like if you were actually open to receiving that information, you would see it plain as day.
Absolutely.
Because that's literally like all we talk about.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But as soon as you hear some shit that goes against the candidate that you want in office, now you're like, oh no, y'all are lying, it's cap. Then you come at us with nothing but lies and cap. Chill out, Justine. Go read some books or something.
This was in all caps. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Horrible show full of lies. Did Trump write this?
Yeah, right.
Sounds like it, yeah. Definitely
supporting one sick woman who incarcerated many Black and women too. Again, you don't care about our incarceration because if you did, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's somebody who's talking about federal immunity for police who, in the wake of Sonia Massey, doubled down and said it again. So, like, come on, he's talking about the death penalty for people that sell drugs. You don't really care. Again, you want us to scrape and bow, and if you turned on and we was all riding Trump, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Then you would love us. But because we think critically about both candidates, and we even have been critical about Kamala herself, again, you know, you have an issue with us because we're not just believing Trump's lies. You know what I'm saying? Justine, how about this?
Have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
If you can email us back all of the policies that Trump passed that directly benefited black people, a majority of black people, then we can have a further conversation. But if you want to talk back to us in our black mail segment, you can go to Miracle. You can go to
info@onehood.org. But
info@onehood.org. Yes.
I think it was Eddie Griffin who said, like, when people talk about putting up a black candidate, they're not saying a black man, some random black man they've never met before.
Yes.
They're talking about people who have the track record, who are the same as any other candidate, the same wins, the same goals, the same establishments. Kamala was there because people organized and so we want better representation.
Yes.
And we want to make sure you are picking someone who's not only critical of you, but someone who represents the growing electorate in the country.
Yes.
The justice, that was black women who got together and said, these are all these black women who are overly qualified to be Supreme Court justices.
Correct.
And demanded a black woman justice be appointed. This was not a DEI hire. These are people who have been overlooked. And now we actually have a white man who was a DEI hire who was just announced today. Y'all got crickets.
Yes.
Y'all got nothing to say.
Nope.
There was no women. There was no black people who was on that VP shortlist. It was all white men. And so now that y'all are in the position to only be there because of your skin tone, there's no outrage.
Right.
There's no anger. You're not saying he didn't win the job.
Yes.
It shouldn't be him.
Yes.
It should be, Gretchen. It should be Big Gretchen.
Right.
Y'all are not saying that.
No.
So, like, calm the F down.
Nor are you saying that when it comes to Trump putting Ivanka in position or Jared Kushner in position.
Or his children.
It was never about, that's what somebody was like. Somebody was like, why, how come Kamala Harris is married? Why doesn't she have her husband's last name? And they were like, well, why doesn't Ivanka? And then it was crickets again, right? Yeah. So again, like, if you can only like be critical on one side, right? You can find all these incidences of Joe Biden's racism, but none of Trump's, right? You can find all these critical things about, well, what race are they? But not like we're going to ignore J.D. Vance's children.
Right.
Like, they're biracial. Are we going to ignore them? So it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We have a book. Did you want to do our white pages?
Yes. Very popular book. When and Where I Enter, The Impact of Black Women on Race and Sex in America. I thought this was a very apt title.
Absolutely.
And offering for our white pages today. This is authored by Paula Giddings from Yonkers, Lodge Up. She was also a freedom writer. So just a quick synopsis. When and Where I Enter is an eloquent testimonial to the profound influences of African American women on race and women's movements throughout American history. Drawing on speeches, diaries, letters, and other original documents, Paula Giddings powerfully portrays how black women have transcended racist and sexist attitudes, often confronting white feminists and black male leaders alike to initiate social and political reform. And if that isn't indicative of today,
only the black woman can say, when and where I enter, in the quiet, undisputed dignity of my womanhood, without violence and without stronger potential, the whole race enters with me.
Wow. Shout out to Paula. And speaking of Yonkers, the Locks did a Tiny Desk,
which was
really
crazy,
really dope. And then,
on the 30th anniversary tour.
Yes, we also wanted to bring back Black excellence. We haven't done that, but shout out to the obviously. I mean, we could talk about Simone Biles.
Yeah,
we could talk about the all black woman.
Sha'Carri Richardson. Yeah,
no, it was like the all black woman podium for gymnastics.
Oh yeah.
The sister from Brazil. You know what I'm saying?
Sha'Carri.
Right, Sha'Carri, the sister from St. Lucia, the first medal of that country in its history.
Yeah.
Right. So it's been a lot of Black excellence in the Olympics. Also, the Black farmers.
Yeah.
Finally getting this $2 billion. That, what was holding it up? It was actually the Trump, White House that held that up. You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to those farmers that got their much deserved $2 billion. We hope that actually helps. I think we heard that the feds are charging the officers that killed Breonna Taylor.
Yes.
A lot of stuff is going down. I just want, again, Biden.
What are we doing, baby?
Biden, come here. Come here. I just want Biden to just go crazy. Go crazy, bro. You're a lame duck. No one's really watching you. You bringing hostages back from Russia. Just keep going. Do all the things, please.
All the
Please.
things.
All the things. And let's, make this country what it should be. With that being said, final words, Miracle?
Keep organizing, keep fighting. Look up Not Another Bomb. Send Harris a message to say you want a ceasefire and an arms embargo. Just keep organizing, doing great work. We are all collectively together. We all have to rise together or we all sink together. So let's rise.
Hit you with some powerful words, my brother.
I have a couple messages. One, don't let these billionaires impact how you think. Take some time, do your research.
Yes.
Figure out what you value and stand on that shit.
Yes.
Second, I have a show coming up again on Saturday at One Up Skate Shop called Raps and Things.
Ooh, I love
it's
that.
going to be me and a whole bunch of really dope MCs and artists from Pittsburgh. So if you're in the city, show up.
Yeah. And just keep up, follow Trouble. Our little Instagram handles come up when the show introduces us. So you can follow us online for some of the individual stuff. Farouk.
Hyenas are more closely related to cats than dogs.
All right. And I'll just say, please, keep all bears or animals in general away from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. With that being said, peace, y'all.